Hi, my name is Jeff Hannan. I'm a C4 consultant. I'm also the Director of Debate at Evanston Township High School and the Director of Forensics at the Loyola Academy. In 2000, I won the national championship in the House of Representatives, and today I'm going to talk about prepping a docket of bills or legislation for congressional debate. We're going to talk about two different things. One, how to arrange prep as a team or a squad, and then also how to prep individually as a competitor. So let's start by talking about team or squad. The first thing you're going to want to do is prioritize the docket of legislation that you have. Several things to consider are who authored or sponsored the bill. You know, if the team that authored the bill takes Congress very seriously, then they're more likely to push for that bill to be on the actual agenda. Another consideration is the actual issue. Is it something that students want to debate? And finally, is the bill accessible? If it's obscure or written in a confusing way, then it's less likely to be selected as one of the bills to be discussed. So once you go through all of the legislation and sort of prioritize, you want to aim to prepare for about 60% or 2/3 of the actual legislation. Ideally, you prepare for everything, but some tournaments will give you 25 bills to discuss, and that's just not practical. So if you aim for 2/3 preparation, you'll be able to speak often enough to have competitive success. Finally, now that you've sort of arranged what bills you want to prepare, how do you go about doing that as a squad or a team? The method that I find works best is you have your group or team discuss the bill or the bills and come up with an outline, a very basic outline. So I'm talking about 3 or 4 arguments on both the affirmative and the negative of each bill. And these arguments should just be the most basic claim warrant pairs. Just enough information to give you a sense of what the argument would be about. What you're going to leave blank during this group discussion is the evidence and impacts for each argument. That way you encourage students to be researching on their own to find evidence for the arguments. And also you allow them the flexibility to create impacts for themselves. The impact of an argument is often the most personal point of the argument, and so individuals, even though they're working from the same framework, can still shine in terms of how they want to present the argument. So that's a good approach as a squad. The question then is, how do I, as an individual competitor, prepare for a docket of legislation or for a particular bill? And I've really just got 2 big points to make. The first one is that you ought to be reading for understanding. You ought to be doing research in a way that will help you learn about the topic, but not necessarily in a way that's going to be focused on finding evidence or a particular card. As an individual, you want to read for understanding, and this has a lot of benefits. First, it best prepares you for the debate element of the activity. If you only read a few articles to get the evidence that you need, you're not going to be able to evaluate the claims that other students are making. If you've read broadly on the subject and you know a lot about it, then you can listen to the debate, evaluate claims, and make answers from research that you've done. Another big benefit is in cross-examination. A lot of students love to ask, are you aware of this, or how will this affect this? You have a better chance to answer those questions if you've read broadly. And also you get more argument flexibility. If you prep as a team and you come up with 3 main arguments, chances are those arguments are going to get used pretty quickly. If you've read broadly on the subject, then you have more arguments, more ideas to discuss, and you can make the right speech at the right time in the round. I suggest going to Wikipedia. When you have a topic that you're not familiar with, start at Wikipedia. They typically have great articles that give you a great overview of the subject, and then that can also branch off to other pieces of evidence. You use the Wikipedia article as a source, and then don't use it as a source in your speech, but you go there and then you can follow the footnotes and the linked articles that Wikipedia provides. So that's the first thing. When you're preparing for legislation, preparing for a bill, preparing for debate, read broadly to understand the issue. Don't look for evidence specifically. The second important big idea here is take notes. Don't print out articles to bring with you to the competition, and don't just write down an outline of your arguments. What you want to do is take notes on the subject for several reasons. First, the act of taking notes helps you learn information, and that's going to be useful in debate, in refutation, in late cycle speeches. Also, taking the notes gives you a broad resource to use in the round. So instead of flipping through lots of articles looking for information, you can look through the most important information that you've already condensed. And also it saves trees, right? Don't print articles. Don't do that. Another thing I would suggest is while you're taking these notes, use different color pens for affirmative and negative, and then just sort of interesting ideas. That way it's easier on your eyes. You're already sort of doing the cognitive work of organizing information, and you can walk into the round without really thinking, oh, I have an affirmative speech or I have a negative speech, but rather thinking, I have enough information and enough confidence to speak on either side of the bill at any point in the debate. I could author if I needed to. I could give the last negative if I needed to. So basically, this approach, reading for understanding, taking notes as you do that, and then using those notes as a resource in the round, makes you the ideal congressional debater because you can give the right speech at the right moment in the round. And that's what Congress is all about. So I hope that this has been helpful. If you have any other questions, I think we're doing a live chat about this this Wednesday. I'm not sure what date that is. At this point, I don't know how to end this video. I hope you have a good season, and I hope to see you on the circuit.